Hey, everybody. Welcome to Principles on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. What we're going to be looking at today, Principles, is kickstarting your year. Strategies for you to start strong. Now, there was a time when I was over a committee and we had to get everything going in this program. And for some reason, everything just seemed to just pile up just over and over and over. And it seemed like I had to do everything. I had to contact the vendors. I had to look for volunteers. I had to make sure that the venue was in place. I had to make sure that everything was scheduled, just step by step by step, and it just became just too much for me. But you know what overwhelmed feels like? Overwhelmed feels like you're stuck. It feels like everybody's pulling at you. Everybody wants your attention. Your heart starts to pound. The least little thing gets on your nerve. That is how I felt. And as a new principal or a returning principal, some of you, let's get ready. You're probably going to feel a little overwhelmed, especially if you are a principal of a school that was underperforming, and your superintendent, your board of trustees expects you to turn that school around. And what we're going to talk about today is that you just can't do it by yourself. You're going to be overwhelmed. People are going to back away from you. You're not going to get things done. You don't think anybody can do it as good as you can. You get frustrated because you think people need to be able to read your mind to tell you what you need to do. And it's just an overwhelming thing. And one of the big secrets is learning how to delegate. I mean, you hear that all the time. Just delegate that. Just delegate that. You don't have to do that. And as principals, we're trained that we're supposed to do everything because everything ultimately falls on our shoulders. So we think that if we turn it over to somebody else, they're just going to make a mess out of it. You're going to be humiliated, and the community and your faculty and your staff will think that she just doesn't know what she's doing. So when delegating is just not giving a job to somebody else. Delegating means that you're trusting, and some of us don't know how to trust. Some of us don't believe anybody else can do the job as good as we can. It's only the only reason you want to delegate is just to lighten the load. For example, if you can delegate organizing school events, have that let the teachers do that. This allows you to focus on the more strategic tasks that you have to do. The next thing that I want you to think about to release this overwhelm that we have, and that we certainly will have if it's not at the beginning of the school year, it will be come October. You're going to be feeling the overwhelm. Prioritize. Prioritize your tasks. Determine what's urgent versus what's important. Urgent things you have to do. Important things, you can delegate that to one of your teachers. You can delegate that to your assistant principal or a team leader, your instructional coach if you have one, your counselor. Get all of this stuff off your shoulders. You are the one who is the creative on your campus. You're the one that has to figure things out. And there are these other things, get that off your calendar. Get somebody else to do that. Now, the key to doing that is that, you have to have deadlines. You have to track it. You can't just let it just go on by itself and think that, everything's just is going to flow. You can allocate times for your administrative work. Allocate time for classroom visits. You don't have to visit all the classes. You can have your assistant principal to do that. And then you need to be able to set some realistic goals, some goals that are achievable. And you're not going to do that by yourself. You're going to break down your large projects into smaller projects, into manageable projects. Instead of trying to overhaul the entire thing at one time, let's say you're working with the math department because that's the area that had the lowest scores on your state tests. Focus on improving that particular area at a time. Set a goal. Maybe you want to work on your math department, and you say, well, I got more than just the math department that was underperforming. My math department was underperforming. My ELA department was underperforming. How about work with your ELA department and your math department, because everything else circles around that. And then manage it. Focus on improving one section at a time. Focus on improving one standard at a time that is the greatest impact on the scores. But no, not you. You want to do it all yourself. You don't want to have that to be assigned to somebody else. That's too strategic a thing. You have to be involved with everything. You have to be involved with department meetings. You have to be involved with every PLC. And I understand exactly. Here I am, been there, done that. I understand what it is. But trust in your people. I guarantee you, your people can get it done. Identify 2 or 3 people who can get it done. And then give the job to them. Just decide that this is the job that I'm going to give them, that I'm going to back off and I'm going to do the things that only I can do. And then that just cuts all of that being overwhelmed down to zero, hopefully zero. And then, of course, you got to take care of yourself. So many of us feel guilty. We say, we can't be gone. I've had principals to tell me, I had a personal issue that I had to take care of. And I left the responsibility up to my assistant principal and my instructional coach. And when I got back, it was holy chaos. So never will I turn anything over to my assistants to get things done. Well, if you want to do that, get yourself ready for being overwhelmed. Learn how to take care of yourself, but at the same time, learn how to delegate responsibilities, or you will be overwhelmed. You will really need some self-care because you will be in the hospital somewhere. And then, principals, I know it's a lot of pressure. I know these scores are just, they're just like hot pops, just all over the place. Schedule yourself a break, some short breaks through the day, just to recharge. You may want to Schedule 10 minutes in your office reading some educational material just to kind of get your mind off of everything that's going on. But you need to have that mental break. You need to take care of yourself because this train never stops. It never stops. It continues. And we start out with everybody is all happy, and then that train is moving along that track. And the speed of that train is going to increase as the year goes on. Now, come October, baby, you're going to be running full speed. I mean, everybody's going to be coming at you. So why don't you take this time right now when everybody is happy and everybody is in a good mood and you just about have all of your positions filled? Why not decide right now who's going to be on your team? Who are you going to delegate to? Sometimes you have to look at a person and just try them out. Give them a small task to do. Give them something that's not going to impact a whole lot of people. Give them a chance to do whatever this project is. Give them a deadline. Do a check, to make sure that they're on track. And that's how you build that. That's how you take that off your shoulders. That's why you hear principals who have a great school status or a great A status. They always say things like, if it wouldn't have been for my staff. Because that's what it is. That's what it takes. It takes your staff. You as that principal, I mean, you hot and you trot and you got your head all full and you got your name on in the parking spot where the new principal pulls up in in her sports car, and she gets out and she has her nice little outfit on and nails done, hair done, walk into that office, drops everything, and then just kind of stands around and say, I'm the principal here. Let's get things done. It's more to it than that. It's more to it than that. And the first thing is overwhelmed. It's overwhelmed. That's just what happens. That's just the territory. So throughout the year, and starting even right now as a new principal, or even if you're a returning principal, you're bombarded with requests from teachers that's going to need resources. You're going to have parent concerns. You're going to have a concern from a parent who set something up last school year for her child's schedule and it's just not happening because that counselor resigned and you have a new counselor there, and that parent just doesn't understand, why you couldn't set that child's schedule up the way, they talked about it. And you're a new principal and you have no idea what she's talking about. It's coming at you. You're going to have students who are going to need guidance. You're going to need your custodial staff who's going to need guidance. You're going to need your cafeteria staff that's going to need guidance. So what you have to do is just establish clear communication when you have already learned how to delegate. And then what you do is you come together as a group and you designate specific times for meetings and office hours. And office hours is that time where you as the coach is going to huddle up with your team. They have seen the plays. They know what you expect for them or from them. And that's the time that you're going to decide to see, well, how things going. If you decide that as a group that last week we decided that we wanted the pickup to be all at the front of the building, and you see that that was a terrible idea, then you and your team need to get together to come up with another idea. So that train can just keep rolling on that track smoothly. That team and that coach can go out with the plan. You also are going to be bombarded by central administration because they have some new initiatives. You know, they have some new initiatives. You know, they went to professional development during the summer, just like you did, and they were sold on a new initiative. They were sold on, well, now since the state is doing everything online, then you need to have your students practice everything online. So that means that your school district has purchased all of this technology, which is not cheap, and they want you to implement that new initiative. So you say, what am I supposed to do? You know, I need help in other areas. I need a consultant. I can't even pay my consultant because of these new initiatives from the administrative offices. And you're gonna have that feeling where it seems like there's no way to fit it all in. But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to prioritize your initiatives. You're gonna have to break them down into smaller steps. You're going to have to bring the problems that you can't solve to your team. And you're going to have to ask them for help. You're going to have to do a balancing act. You're going to have to balance your administrative duties and your duties as an educational leader. And is that hard to do? Absolutely it is. That's why they gave you the job, because it's not an easy thing to do. And they think you are the one who can do it. So, you know, as principals too, we keep getting, you know, emails from central administration. There's all these tasks that they want us to do. We get this calendar from central administration. And a lot of these things disconnects you from the classroom. It disconnects you from your teachers. It disconnects you from your students. So what you're going to have to do, you are going to have to schedule. You're going to have to schedule regular classroom visits. You're going to have to schedule time to meet with your teachers. Schedule time to meet with your students. And then, of course, you're going to have to delegate those administrative tasks, you know, where possible. Now, being overwhelmed is just one of those things. Being overwhelmed gives you a headache. Being overwhelmed, everybody gets on your nerves because you're trying to hold all of this stuff in your head. You're trying to figure out everything that you need to do in your head. And I'm telling you, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. Otherwise, you're just going to be overwhelmed. And being overwhelmed is not a pretty thing. Being overwhelmed makes you look disorganized because you are. You can't do it all. So, what am I saying? What am I saying to you, principals? I'm saying being overwhelmed is a common experience. Okay? I've been overwhelmed. You've been overwhelmed before. But it's common. But it doesn't have to be a permanent state. All you have to do is delegate your tasks, prioritize what you want to delegate, do your plan, set some realistic goals with your team, Take care of yourself. Give yourself some breaks. Then you can manage your responsibilities and you can manage them effectively. You can do a great job. You can create a positive impact on your school. You can create positive relationships with your faculty and your staff because they realize that you trust them. They realize that you respect the things that they have to say and you implement the things that they have to say. Just remember, you're in that building and you're not alone. You need to reach out for support when you need it. And it's going to empower your team when you allow them to share the load. So being overwhelmed doesn't have to be. Being overwhelmed is something that you can get your team to help you with. And then when it comes to testing and you having your scores, you are going to be celebrating a hallelujah success story because you were overwhelmed and you decided that you would let your people help you. That's how it's done, y'all. Next week, we're going to be looking at something else similar. You know, you just can't put your hands on overwhelm. You know, overwhelm is in your head. And as a principal, there's a whole lot of things inside our head that we can't even articulate. We're going to look at that next week. So I'm Barbara Polk, Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into a hallelujah success story. We'll see you next time.